welcome back to my channel. This is Heidi from My Reading Life, and I thought I better actually give the introduction to this reading vlog since I've been filming all kinds of clips. So this is the start of my first Spring-a-thon vlog. So Spring-a-thon is a month-long reading event for me, even though the official Spring-a-thon dates are May 9th through the 22nd. And so I am just happily reading all kinds of nature nonfiction this month. And so I finished my first book off my TBR already, and I wanted to talk to you about it. And that is Settled in the Wild, Notes from the Edge of Town by Susan Hand Shetterly. And this is a book of nature nonfiction about Susan Hand Shetterly's experiences moving to a very rural part of the state of Maine on the coast near where I live, and in an area that I'm very, very familiar with. And so it was just fascinating to read her thoughts. This is a very charming book about her experiences moving from a more urban environment to a more rural environment, the connection she makes with the land, with the coastline, with the shorefront, her experiences with different wildlife. She becomes a wildlife rehabilitator, particularly for birds. So there's a couple of stories in here about different experiences she has nursing birds and other wildlife back to health, which are just charming and delightful. But it also is a meditation and thoughtful writing about connections to the land and what that means for us as humans, and how we can be in danger of losing that connection because we don't make the time to sort of observe what's around us in our natural environment, whether that be wherever you live, and to really get to know the place where you are located by observation, and to just spend time thinking about what you're observing, trying to just be quiet in that place. And so she talks a lot about, taking walks in the morning with her dog and things that she observes, things like that. It's just absolutely beautiful. And so I have marked a little section here to read to you just to demonstrate what the language is like in this book. I think it's really, really nice, really lovely and thoughtful. And in this section, she's talking about how people who aren't trained scientists observe the world, especially if they're like fishermen or somebody who's out in a particular kind of environment all the time, observing wildlife and nature. And we may not all understand sort of the biological nature of what we're observing, but everybody can make observations. And so she says, learning about something, staying with what engages our attention, staying beyond the naming of it, is like the layering of sediment. Over time, what we know acquires weight and permanence, and we become, instead of watchers, witnesses, heavy with the gravity of what is revealed to us and what we have chosen to carry of it. So I just thought that was really beautiful and really intelligently said about what it is like to really come to know a place or to come to know a particular species, whether it's birds, fish, other wildlife. We can all become more knowledgeable about what the world around us is truly like. So this is just a short little book, and it was just lovely and a wonderful way to start my Spring-a-thon. And now the second book that I'm reading is not one that was on my TBR. And this is a book in the Penguin Green Ideas collection. This is just a little slim book. And this is The Most Damned Country in the World by Qing. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, and I will look it up before I talk about it again. But this is an author who is from China. And he is an activist and a journalist who has been campaigning against the Three Gorges Dam since the 1980s. I'm sorry, this is a woman. She is forbidden to publish or speak publicly in China, but remains there to continue documenting the truth about the regime. So this is really a particular collection of several speeches that the author gave and essays that she wrote about the rise, sort of what we call the rise of China over the last several decades and what that has meant for the environment, using this specific development project of the Three Gorges Dam to illustrate her points about how unbridled rush for earning money, to make money, capitalism, development is really, really harmful both to the environment and to the people who live in a particular place. And there's a whole I'm about 20 pages from the end of this like 85-page little book. And she's been talking about how the building of this dam is going to displace 1.9 million people. And also all of these historical and archaeological sites are going to be inundated and flooded and no longer accessible. And so we're going to lose all of that knowledge that we could possibly gain about prehistoric peoples that lived in that region is just going to be lost. So it's just really, really enlightening, really eye-opening, and definitely would recommend this little book. You can buy it individually. It did come in a box set of 19 other little books like this about different environmental issues, and different authors wrote, a different author has written each one of them, and this is number 11 in that series. So I will talk about it more when I'm finished. Good morning. So I wish I could have videoed this for you guys because it just happened. There was a rabbit in the yard, and our rabbits turn white in the wintertime and brown in the summertime. And this rabbit is all brown except for 4 white feet. And they stand out really a lot. So it was like really obvious when it went running through the yard. I'm like, what is going on out there? And Libby is out there too, the cat. So hopefully she will leave him alone, or her. But the rabbit's quite large, so I'm sure she will. So anyway, it was really funny, but by the time I went to go get my phone so I could video it, of course, the rabbit was gone. But that was not why I wanted to speak with you this morning. I wanted to speak with you because I finished the second book for Springathon. This is The Most Damned Country in the World by Qing, and this is part of the Penguin Green Ideas series. I have the whole box set. And this is a collection of speeches and essays in which the author has written about the construction of the Three Gorges Dam in China, which is the largest, it's the largest river system dam in the world. And it was first discussed and thought of as an idea under Chairman Mao way back in the 1950s. And it was, they kept doing these studies and things, and they were like, no, it's gonna destroy the environment. The costs and benefits don't work out. It's just gonna be too detrimental to both the people and the environment. We can't do it. And then after the Tiananmen Square massacre, when the country became much more authoritarian, which it was already leaning that way, but it got much worse. Nobody dared protest against it anymore, and the government just went ahead and did the project, and it has been extremely detrimental to both people and environment. And it was just really fascinating to read because the author talks about the change in China from sort of this the communist idea of like communal, everybody in this together, and we're going to do this together as a country, and being very rural and very sort of agriculturally based, and working for the collective, to since Tiananmen Square being very much focused on profit making and capitalism without sort of the freedom to do what you want with with that, but like a few people making a lot of money and a lot more people just living in abject poverty kind of a thing. So that was really interesting. And, that's not the point. That's not the entire point. That's part of the point. The other point is she talks about the environmental impacts to the river system, and to archaeological sites and artifacts that are, prehistory, very early peoples that lived in the area that we now call China, and how much of that is lost now because of this dam, and how, other countries have sort of backed away from doing these kind of humongous projects because of the detrimental impacts. And, so that was all extremely cool. It also displaced 1.9 million people. I mean, that was the initial figure, and it has since displaced even more people than that because flooding and, loss of places to grow food and all these things have actually had ripple effects that have included many, many, many more people. So I think I can't even remember now what the number was, but it's several millions more people have been displaced and have had to be moved to other parts of the country. So they've not only lost their way of life, lost their homes, but they now have to adjust to living in cities or other areas that they weren't from originally. So yeah, really fascinating. Little 89-page book, and I learned a ton from it. So highly recommend the Green Ideas series from Penguin. So that's where I'm at. I've also picked up, I don't have it right here with me, but I picked up Under a White Sky by Elizabeth Colbert, which was on my TBR. That'll be my next Springathon read, and I'm buddy reading that with Britta Bowler, and I read the first chapter last night, and it's great. I love her writing anyway. I've read 2 of her previous books and really, really enjoyed them, and I think this one's going to be another hit based on the first chapter, and I will check in with you about it later.